Sigmund Freud, was really obsessed with eels when he was a young person. And before he became a psychologist, he actually had studied some natural history. And he was really fascinated specifically about how eels reproduced. And it was, in fact, kind of a big question in science at the time because no one has witnessed their sexual reproduction. No one knew where they even exactly bred or did this sort of group orgy thing, and no one had witnessed them actually have sex. So there are eels that are raised in captivity, but you can't breed them. So they're very particular about the conditions of their sexual reproduction. So it was a big mystery for a while in science. But part of the mystery was the fact that the scientists were asking the wrong questions. They were assuming a very binary, heteronormative understanding of the biology of the eel, that they were looking for these answers that would conform to the binary, right? So Freud, actually, one of his projects, he went out looking for the male reproductive organs in these eels, and actually he would just collect hundreds of eels and kind of grotesquely just cut them open, looking for proof that they had found proof of ovaries, but they hadn't found proof of testes, and he was needing to find them, and he was on this I'm projecting here, but what seemed almost like a sadistic quest to prove that this sort of concept of binary sex existed in these organisms. And I think after many hundreds of eels that he killed, he did eventually find one ball or something. And he felt that was, could put the question somewhat to rest. But obviously part of it was that these animals were not, they didn't have they didn't exist sexually really until these particular moment. I think I actually slightly misspoke. And I said they were intersex for a while. They did not have sexual organs for a while, and then for most of their lives. And then when they were becoming ready to migrate, then that's when the organs took shape. And at which point they can be intersex. So I did misspeak earlier. They were not, it wasn't that they were intersex, they did not have sexual reproductive organs before that kind of pivot, right? Before that moment of migration. Some scholars of Freud have suggested that this sort of experience that he had looking for the testicles and testes of eels maybe was disturbing to him, and actually may have kind of partly gave rise to his castration anxiety theories and stuff like this. So they were, I don't know, it's just a kind of a crazy backstory for these organisms. But what I think I want to return to in sort of symbiogenesis is this idea that what is guiding these organisms is a result of not just sort of brute force of competition and destruction that led to so this idea of their survival of the fittest, but it's actually much more nuanced than that. It's much more blended and interspecies and sort of collective and microbial. And the world is really this microbial entity through which other organisms kind of come and go and take forms briefly before continuing into something else. And there's this transientness to all life, of course, but especially these more multicellular forms.